Come on, Soda Pop, let's go.
Is going to turn kind of hot for us here is the Boulevard report revision.
Been reading that.
Yeah, we've got an ordinance now that says you really can't do much at all except grass. And we found a lot of people that don't follow that. And tough to enforce. And so now at least the current council says kind of, let's just make it simple, allow other things to happen there. And so we're going to be discussing that. But what do you guys do for your boulevards?
We changed it a year ago, at least out in the commercial, that they don't have to have grass. They can have some other material. In town residential, it's still supposed to be grass, but we're in the same boat. That we've got a few springing up here and there that are shrubs, low-lying shrubs, as long as they're below 30 inches or so.
That's right there. Our sticking point is going to be is that number.
Yep.
How did you settle for 30? Yeah.
We've got another section of the ordinance says you can't have anything over, I think it's 30 or 36 inches within a triangle on the intersections.
Safety zone.
Safety zone. 40 feet from the intersection of the curb. You can't have anything over 30 or 36 inches. Because typically, even in a small car, if it's 30 inches, 36 inches or less, you're going to see over it. And since nobody drives small cars anymore. So, as long as you keep the ground cover to a reasonable height, it should be okay. The issue becomes other materials that you put in there, rock.
So I was going to ask about rocks and plows and street cleaners.
Smaller rock isn't that big of a deal. Your bigger rocks, if they get into your curb line, they're going to get into your storm sewer system, which is going to create an issue.
Dangerous, even the small ones are dangerous for bicycles.
Yep, there's that issue.
Picked up too for other cars.
The wood chips kind of become a
Little
mess.
boys.
But if you sweep your streets on a fairly regular basis, we only sweep our streets twice a year. So if you sweep your streets on a regular basis, some of that debris is going to be gone. Like I said, we've got some places in town that aren't complying, but we don't go out and enforce.
So why would it be contentious? What will?
Well, we tried it once before, and we lost a couple of fingers. So we're approaching this time with caution, because it's everybody in the community, everybody in the city generally has a boulevard, so they have a stake in it. A lot of things. But there's a lot of individuals who've done extensive landscaping in the boulevard. Spent a lot of money.
And they've won awards. They've won awards from the city. We've
Yeah,
rewarded them.
I did see that in the paper. That headline was interesting.
And then you've got the issue
Kinda
with
gig on the face there,
that the boulevard area is for snow removal. That's snow storage.
Yeah.
Is the primary function of the boulevard. So if somebody invests $1,000 in plantings and all of a sudden you kill those things off with salt and sodium chloride and everything else that you put on the streets, there's going to be some damage there. So as long as everybody understands that those plants may not survive every winter, our biggest issue in the boulevard is mailboxes. We pay I think $70 if we wipe out a mailbox. We don't argue with them anymore whether the plow hit it or the snow hit it. We just pay up to $70. Well, there's some people out there that have $2,500 mailboxes, and we used to go out and spend 2 to 3 weeks of staff time measuring how far back from the curb these mailboxes were. If you were within, too close to the curb, we weren't going to pay you. Well, it's just easier to pay the $70. But when you hit a substantial mailbox that's 3 by 3 in brick, it not only damages the mailbox that we reimburse $70 for, but it also causes quite a bit of damage to your plow. Let alone, hopefully your guy's buckled in so he doesn't go through the windshield.
Well, our ordinance too for the boulevard says that you cannot have brick on that's prohibited too. It's not enforced, but you're not supposed to have the brick because you can't obviously see through it.
It's supposed to be a breakaway post.
You can have a brick mailbox.
No, you cannot. The stand that goes up to it. Nobody has an actual brick mailbox, but it's a stand.
A mailbox holder.
It's supposed to be breakaway mailbox, so if it does get hit, it does fall over.
Mine is all brick.
And you're not supposed to. You're breaking the law, Rex.
Again?
I'm just kidding. Because you're not supposed to have a basketball
What's the
hoop, you're
police
not
number?
supposed to have all,
Yeah,
I remember
exactly.
seeing the pictures
Code
of all
enforcement.
these different kinds of mailboxes, and you're not supposed to have.
Well, and the other thing is, the mail system is, they told us, if you read some of that stuff I gave you, the mail system is going to be going to neighborhood mailboxes.
Oh, are they?
And they're gonna, it's all
Yeah.
gonna change, because of
Make it more
efficiencies.
efficiency.
They're gonna have 25
Yep.
of them, and boom, boom, you're gonna go down and pick out your mail, and so these things are all gonna become nice pieces of nothing.
What do you do for utility work if somebody's in your needs to go into a boulevard and there's planting?
When we do a street project, if somebody has plantings at Boulevard, we give them notice and say, if you want to save those plantings, you need to take them out by this date. If you don't take them out, we're not saving them. They're gone.
Because it's really our land.
It is. It's just like trimming trees. We trim those. If the-
Oh, yeah, we got in trouble.
It's so
on
much
that
easier.
A few years ago,
And more expensive.
we had a lady.
Not really, no.
Oh, yeah.
We had a
It is
lady
in
come
Sioux
because
Falls.
she
Yeah,
had
it's-
lost
it's not for
food
us.
because we had trimmed her tree.
Because I figured we save about 120 to 140 hours of staff time.
By
Not
having
going
somebody-
out.
Not going out and measuring and and sending notices and then remeasuring and then going
We do
out.
we do a fifth of the city each year.
We do a third. But the amount of time it took just to go out and measure the trees. And
Oh,
then-
you don't have a deal that just goes by and?
Yeah, we do, but we take the extra step that we actually take a picture.
We're the community that cares. I wish that we marked the trees, put a little tag on it, put a dot of spray paint, do something to identify what branches need to go, so I don't have to guess, and you come out, remeasure, I have to cut them down. I mean, we have a handful of rental properties, and I got 3 letters, and so I hired my guy to come out, and he's like, I think we're good. And I'm like, well, are we good or are we not good? I mean, and he's like, well, I measured all of them, but it's also different when they came the first time. There were leaves, and so they hang heavier
Yep.
than the branches. If there's snow, when they come back, they may hang lower.
Well, the other thing that we
But-
found was if we send out the notices to the people to trim the trees, they would go out and trim the branch that was offending.
They wouldn't do a job.
They wouldn't do,
The big
they should go
branch.
back to the trunk and trim the whole branch.
Yeah, well,
So 2 years later, they're in violation again.
Right,
Because
right.
they didn't trim it
Do a
correctly.
right job. Well, I'll
So-
trim whatever, I wanted a little, like, put a little pink dot on there and cut it off. Blue, yellow, I don't, orange.
We
I
take
don't care.
pictures
Yeah, I
before we
don't
trim.
think- yeah.
oh, yeah.
So you say you did an analysis that the number of hours you used to spend, now, given the hours that you actually do
Yep.
trim, it's less?
Yeah, we went out, we had two crews trimming, we had 2 staff, and they were done in about 3 days. Whereas before, we would do a third of the town, and one person would go out, do the initial measuring of all the trees in the area. Come back, we would send notices out, and then in 2 weeks, he would have to go out and again and remeasure all those trees to see who's in compliance and who's out of compliance. And then we'd hire somebody to come in, and then that same person would have to go out with that crew again, and it would take about a week to get all those trees trimmed. So we had a guy that would spend about 3 weeks doing nothing but tree trimming.
So what happened that one time when we went out and trimmed them, we got into trouble, we refunded their money, and then we just took it over from
Yeah,
them,
we,
right?
This how it started?
yeah, the first year we went out and gave the notices, and then if they didn't trim them, we trimmed it, and then we sent them a bill.
Oh, yeah, we sent a bill,
And-
and all
and-
that created a problem.
That was, we were sending out bills for like $20.
Yeah.
We didn't have a minimum, we just split up the total tree trimming cost divided by the number of properties that we trimmed. There was like $20, and we're going, this is really, we didn't necessarily put any staff time in, which we should have. It's just so much easier and simpler to go out with the firm that we hire, measure the tree, take a picture of it, if it needs to be trimmed, trim it.
Yeah. Plus, we don't
Boulevard
put as
trees
much
only.
black.
We don't,
Right.
if it's on private property, we're supposed to give them notice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
But boulevard trees, we consider those our trees. They're on our property.
Yeah, we don't get as much black either, like Barb said.
We did a couple years. We got
Yeah.
a few phone calls. Hey, you came out and trimmed my tree. What the heck's going on?
Yeah.
Well, this is what we're doing it for. What's it going to cost me? Nothing. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Why did you take pictures though?
To confirm, to show people that their tree was actually in violation.
Yeah.
Because they don't trust us.
So you gotta get the house in the background.
Have
or
to get the
something,
house and-
Because otherwise it could be any
Yep.
tree and, we learned that painfully. We're getting there.
But the last couple of years, we haven't had too many complaints, because we do
How many years
document.
have you done it?
Well, I've been there, I'm coming up on 6 years, so it'll be at least, we started a couple years before I got there, so it's about 6 or 7 years.
But I mean, just on us one, but we've only been doing it 2 or 3 years of just us going out and doing it, not.
Not
Well,
charging
my
them.
first year, we did it, that would have been 10, we did it the old way. 11, we kind of did a
Hodgepodge.
hodgepodge
Yeah.
where we sent the bills out.
Right.
So
Was that
12,
fair?
12 was the first year that we said, we're just,
So
Oh,
4
12 was
years.
the first year we
Yep.
started that. Oh, okay.
Right.
So what is
Yeah.
the compliance level?
12 on the street side and 10 on the sidewalk side. Used to be 14 and 10, which created some odd-looking trees.
That's what we have. One thing that they're talking about with, in Sioux Falls, as this has gone through the cycle, is that a lot of the trees are starting to look a lot better. They're getting trimmed where they're supposed to be growing upwards rather than.
And we're finding that too. We're going through, this will be, I think, our third time through the core area of town, which is from Holly south to
Well, soon
Aspen.
you catch up.
And we're not trimming anywhere near as many trees as we did the first couple of years, geez.
Well, and you also are
Took
doing
forever.
it, and you're doing it to your standard. You're
Yep.
doing it the way you want it to
Yep.
do, and not saying,
The other thing that we did was the contractor that we hire is a certified arborist. So that, we don't get into that discussion, oh, you're a tree butcher, you don't know what you're doing. Tree butcher.
Now, when you trim it, you're trimming the whole tree, you're not just trimming the street side.
Depends.
Is it a counselor?
We will take the extra time if you lop off a branch on the street side to bring it into compliance and it really throws the tree out of whack, we'll shape it up a little bit to make it look not so
Yeah.
off.
How many square miles are you guys?
Yeah.
A lot less than you guys.
A lot less than you.
Do you use the same arborist every year?
We try to get the same contractor every year.
That would,
How much is it a year?
I think we're usually somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000.
In a minute, we'll do it.
For like, how many
that.
miles would that be though? So you say a third.
It's about a third. What are we? We've got about 52 miles of streets,
Oh, miles of street, not square miles.
not square miles, but 52 miles of
You
streets.
know what the square miles are?
So not quite 20, about 18.
I don't even think that would cover the streets that we went on the ride-along with.
It'd be interesting to know though, just what that does equate to, because it's one of the things that we've tried to figure out, is just how
They
much.
told us that it's gonna take over $1 million just to gear up for it.
Huh?
Well, that's
Initially,
if we do it as a city, if we don't hire it out,
Gosh,
buying the
Equipment.
equipment, and all that kind of stuff. yeah.
Oh.
I'd rather spend it on
Because
something else
it's the kind of
than
thing that the park
Wow.
department, maybe could, in the wintertime, could be doing.
wintertime's not the best time to do
It's a
it.
bad time.
Not necessarily, but it's not the best time on a tree.
Well, the health, you should do it either fall or spring.
Yeah.
Stay away from the winter, because if you cut it too late in the winter and then the sap starts running early in the spring, it's not good for the tree. And then the second thing is, those branches aren't quite as heavy, so you're gonna miss a lot without the leaves on them. Some of those branches, will drop 2 to 3 feet in the summer.
leaves are on them.
When the leaves are on them. So,
Because I think we do ours a little bit too late, in my opinion, because the leaves are all off the trees, and then what?
October is about
and we kind of do ours, we did ours late this year because we just got it done last week, which is a little bit late for us. But we were backed up doing some other stuff, so.
They just came this last week to re-inspect, and then they'll send out notices again if you're still in violation. We'll call you to say, oh,
Seems like-
See, that's where we found all the cost savings with us, was that inspection, re-inspection stuff. We just inspect them once with the contractor, that's it.
So they just drive up and down the street, that
Yep.
one looks like it needs to go.
We got our little measuring stick. If it hits a stick, that branch needs to go.
You get out
See it?
and walk, you walk down the street, or do you guys drive on?
Oh, I think they drive initially.
Maps to do it, you don't even have to leave your office.
I know, right? Very true.
That's just totally different than the way we do it.
Well,
Yeah.
the other side of it is, and it might have changed when I came along, those trees in the boulevard are our trees. You may have planted them as a property owner, but they're on our property. Therefore, we own them. And therefore,
I think we're a little stricter than we used to be.
yeah,
Which is, I'm
What
okay
about
with.
the private-public partnerships that you build all throughout the community?
Well,
I always figured the land was subsidies and anything that was
We're
put on them was, we get into that situation, we may get into the situation of having to take care of the park too. We should be
well, I understand that. But
Mowing
at the
it
same
and
time,
everything else.
at the same time, I look at it, you can't go plant a tree on your neighbor's property. You don't own it.
right.
So if you plant it on your neighbor's property, it becomes your neighbor's tree. I also look at, I'm not a big proponent of trees in the boulevard. Put all the trees you want behind the sidewalk. The trees within the boulevard are a nightmare for
Yes.
cities. I
Yes,
can't remember,
right.
somebody did a study on it a number of years ago as to how much a tree costs a city in sewer repairs, curb repairs, sidewalk repairs, street repairs.
We should ban them.
It's-
That's what we should
it's
do.
huge.
Ban trees in the park. Oh, how far do you think?
Say that one more time.
I'm glad I live in Brandon.
Said that we had to plant one in our boulevard.
And we
for our
actually,
house,
we actually
where we live.
encouraged for a long time trees going into boulevards. That's just, yeah, it is. From an infrastructure standpoint, I don't like them. I understand the aesthetics of them, and they look very nice, and everybody
Right.
dreams of those old trees with the elms.
Yeah.
You know,
Covering the whole tunnel it. and-
you know, I'd almost say, here, you want trees, we'll give you, if you build a new house, we'll give you 2 trees, plant them anywhere you want, except in the boulevard.
Yeah, because we had to plant so many trees per this and that, so many in the front, so many in the back.
Oh.
Yep,
For your
we do too.
covenants.
We actually have a requirement, at least in the commercial, industrial, where you have to plant trees in the boulevard. Like,
well, that's,
Well, if you made the boulevards about 25 feet wide,
Yeah.
that'd be a different
Exactly.
story.
That'd be
If they're only about, what, 10?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
they go back, what do we go back, 10, 5, 20 feet or something for its right away or?
Yeah, we usually go
19.
back between 15 and 17 feet from the
Yeah,
curb.
that's it, yeah. So it's, it's not a problem, but it's just a different way of looking at it.
well, you could start out when you're negotiating on this and say, we're gonna ban all trees in the boulevards. And then you kind of compromise a little bit, Greg, and then you'd say, well, you can do this and this and
Or you
work it that way.
Pretty soon we're cutting grass.
The counselor's responsibility is to cut your neighborhood's grass on the
Shoveling
boulevard.
the sidewalk.
Shoveling the
Wow.
If you get rid of the
sidewalk.
grass on the boulevard, you don't have to worry about cutting it.
Right. Sure can. I want to thank
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on.